Hi, I'm here to tell you about a true story, what happened to me when I was a patient in emergency room services at Mount Sinai Hospital. It happened the weekend of March 9th through 10th of 2018. I was rushed suddenly to the hospital because I had suddenly very strong knife-like pains going through my stomach. I couldn't breathe. Fluid was coming up in my lungs up to the bottom of my throat, and I was panicked. I didn't know what to do. I got myself to the city MD. The doctor took one look at me and sent me immediately by ambulance 2 blocks away to Mount Sinai Hospital near Columbus Circle. That ambulance trip, the price tag, $1,600. Well, my nightmare was just about to begin, actually. It wasn't just the fact that I had to be rushed to emergency services, because that night, my attending nurse, while I was in the hospital bed, she was undressing me, and I was being fed morphine with an IV. I couldn't move my torso, couldn't do anything. Not only did she take my clothes off, but she also took my Rolex watch. It was a very valuable watch. And when I filed the claim with Rolex and with the police department here in New York City, Rolex sent me a letter proving that my watch, which I bought in 2004, okay, at that point had a price tag of about $50,000 plus 42,000 and some change plus tax. And that's if you could get it, okay, now in 2019, because with inflation, we're talking and so forth. That same Rolex watch, if you can find it, and you can't because Rolex only made it for a couple of years or so in the early 2000s, so it's considered a collector's item if you can find it somewhere, and you can't because I've looked everywhere. It's worth more than almost $70,000. You can see. Here is a picture of my watch, right here. This one here, here, okay, and proof online that Rolex retains its value. So, what happened that night? Well, as I said, the nurse took my watch off my wrist, and at that point, I didn't know what was going on. She said she needed to do so for needles. The next morning, when she told me I had to leave the hospital, I said, well, where's my watch? I put it in the bag. Where in the bag? I looked everywhere. Wasn't to be found. And then she told me, well, I put it inside your coin purse, inside your wallet. Well, number one, why was the nurse going into my wallet? And number two, my valuables? Why was she putting it in a bag inside, underneath my bed, she said. Okay? And of course, I didn't find it. So I knew immediately I had been robbed. And I called immediately for the nurse supervisor, immediately for the New York police to come, and immediately for the supervisor to arrive. The only person that eventually showed up was the New York City cops. And by the time they got there, the nurse simply left work off her shift. No one from the hospital detained her. Nobody questioned her in front of me. No one searched her body or anything. And most importantly, she wasn't even detained to be questioned by the police, and she was the last person to see my watch. She was the last person to handle my watch. Now, that would be the person that you would normally want to see be questioned by the police right away after it happened. Didn't happen. Here's a police report that was filed several weeks later, okay, after I didn't hear anything else from the hospital. And that police report, there was a conclusion. The hospital, you know what they did? They simply misplaced your watch. Somebody mishandled it. But we can't really say it was stolen because, well, there are no cameras around the bed. And that's because of HIPAA restrictions. No cameras around the bed. So what do I do next? Well, I look a little bit more into this nurse. Her name is Roseanne Toth. And it turns out Miss Toth, as I will now show you, Can I stop? Can I stop the tape?
You stop, you have to start again.
Oh, okay.
If you want a continuous thing, you have to
Well,
just sit there and keep doing the whole thing.
I can't just stop? I read.